Hi, this is Trinesha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about confidence. So, I know you're probably wondering what is making me do a video about confidence. So, as I went throughout this day, I started having a moment with God, and in the morning, I was like a little tired and I felt myself starting to get tempted. And I could like it's so funny because whenever you're tempted, it makes you want to like eat the wrong things. It makes you want to do the wrong things. And sometimes it's really hard to stay focused because you really want to do like whatever it is that's tempting you. And so you're like, okay, if I just eat this, this is just one time that I'm eating this. This is one time that I'm saying or doing this. This is one time that whatever your excuse is. But it's not just one time. It's about you being intentional with your life and making sure that you're doing the things that you need to be doing. And so for me, as I'm there in that moment, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I could do this. And then part of me is like, you don't need to do this. And another part of me is like, but you want to do this. And so I'm kind of like, okay, well, I need to make sure I stay focused. This might be something that I want to do. And then, like, I don't know if you do this, but sometimes, like, when I'm tempted, when I'm in like a weird space, I'm kind of like, well, I mean, I can kind of do this and then not really do this. Like, I mean, technically, this doesn't count if I do this and not this. Like, maybe if I eat a spoonful of this food that's bad for me, even though I know I shouldn't be eating it right now, especially first thing in the morning, then then maybe it'll be fine. Like if I just have like one roll, maybe the one roll isn't that bad, even though I already had a cheat day. Like, come on, you had a cheat day. That's your one day. You don't need to be like you don't need to be in that type of headset or allowing something like that to just make you feel like you need something else. And so I was kind of just like, okay, I could do this. Well, me, and I try to like rationalize it, like, oh yeah, I mean, but technically I had a cheat day, but I could still cheat today too. And I'm just like, no, no, no. You need to be disciplined. You need to be about that life. Like, if you are settling here in this moment, what's gonna happen when the next thing tempts you? Like, am I gonna be able to be strong enough if I'm allowing, my flesh to take control of me? If I'm allowing this thing to take over me to make me want this food so badly, then what's gonna happen when the next lustful thing happens or the next thing that like tempts my flesh? Like am I going to be strong enough then? And so I just start to like after I try to like make excuses for why I need to do this, I'm like, you know what? If I'm feeling tempted in this moment, I need to get up and pray. I know it probably sounds ridiculous. Some people probably don't understand, but if I choose God over whatever it is that's happening, I know God is more powerful than anything, any type of lust that could come over me. Anything that I could feel like I don't have control over, I'm too weak to turn away from. I can call on God and God can allow me to have the strength to be able to make it through or make it away from that thing. Whenever you call on God and your flesh is weak or you feel really tempted in whatever it is that you're doing, if you call on God, He will make a way for you to escape that situation. He will allow the door to be open. He will allow an avenue for you to just be like, oh, you know what? No, thank you. I don't want this. He will allow an opportunity for you to say that you don't want whatever it is, or for you to flee or to get away from whatever the situation is or whatever the thing is that you are being tempted by. And sometimes we we really downplay God's everything that God can do in our lives, and we try to make it seem like we just, God would never help us with something this small, or this is something I need to handle on myself. God knows that we need him, and God likes the fact that we need him. So if we are in a moment of weakness, if we are in a moment in our lives where we know we can't handle it ourselves, we can always call on God. And sometimes we really feel like, well, God's too big to deal with this. It might be a small situation to you, but you matter to God. So no matter how minute it is, no matter how minuscule it is, no matter how tiny or insignificant you might think that it is in God's life, because he cares about you, he will make sure that you're okay, especially when you call on him. So don't ever feel like you have to handle something on your own, because God is always going to be there. And that's what makes me think about naming this confidence. Because as I went through and I was doing different things in my life, I would have certain people say, well, you just have to be confident in this. And I'm like, confident? That's a weird thing to say about something that you know nothing about. And then I start thinking about that phrase, fake it till you make it. But I get why people say that, because even though it's a false sense of confidence, once you start telling yourself you can do something over and over again, eventually you'll be able to do it because of practice, because of repetition, because of consistency. And so if you're faking it until you make it, eventually you learn, and then you become a connoisseur. Eventually you become someone who is proficient in whatever skill it is that you're trying to learn. And so I really feel like that's something that we all need, is confidence. I won't there have been plenty of times in my life where I've noticed people who have lacked confidence, and it's like I could see that person and I'm just like, wow, they're so amazing, or they're such a great person, or I could see all of these positive attributes that this person has, that they carry. And it's like for them, it's like they can't see the significance of themselves, you know? And it really breaks my heart when I see people like that, because I'm like, I don't know if it's somebody in their past told them that they're not good enough. I don't know if it's somebody treated them badly. I don't know what it is, but it's like you can kind of tell. And I've had a moment like this in the past as well. So it's not just like I'm trying to get on those people. I'm just showing this as an example because it'll help someone else who is feeling like they're not confident to know that it's okay to be confident, and to know that regardless of what anyone else said in the past or what you've been through, you can still be confident in knowing that God is God, and that He will do what He says He's going to do. And no matter what the world tries to tell you, or how the world tries to make you feel insignificant, or how people in your past try to make you feel like you weren't good enough, you are good enough, and you deserve to be treated with decency and respect. Common decency and courtesy and respect. You really do deserve that. I'm not saying if you're a person who goes around treating people really badly, you just deserve somebody to be treating you really well. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm also not saying that it's up to a human being to punish somebody else. God, revenge is God's. And I could quote it from the Bible and say, "Revenge is mine," said the Lord. Because anything that we could do will never satisfy us. There's nothing, like, there's people in the past who have hurt me, and nothing that I could have done would have ever rectified the situation. Nothing that I've ever done would have made me feel any better about the situation. Nothing that I could have ever done. Like, I could do the worst of the worst things to the person who hurt me the most, and it still wouldn't suffice. It would not be enough. Like, I would never feel like it was enough. But if I allow God to handle it, they'll have exactly what it is that they deserve. And I don't mean that in a spiteful way. I mean that in a God knows exactly how to handle those people in the right way. And like, when you're trying to be Christ-like, your main goal should be wanting that person to have a closer relationship to God. Because, and I'm not saying this to be spiteful, but for me, when I rededicated my life to God, it really made all of those mistakes or all of those bad decisions that I made flash before my eyes. It's like I had to rectify, and I had to really reconcile every single bad thing that I've ever done in my life. I had to ask for forgiveness. I had to repent. I really had to spend a moment with God, letting Him know, like, hey, I'm acknowledging that I have made these mistakes. I know that this is something that I've done wrong in the past, and God said that He forgave me because of God's grace and His mercy. And I was able to eventually forgive myself. But I had to face it. I had to really reach out to one of my friends from a long time ago. I had to really, talk to someone who hurt me, I wasn't an angel either. I really had to, like, really rectify the situation. I really had to, well, allow God to rectify it, and I had to repent to God. And then I had to make sure that I could reconcile, but not in a they're in my life now and they need to be in my life forever kind of thing, but in a for me to forgive them so that I could forgive myself eventually, so that I could have a clear conscience, so that I can allow any kind of negative emotion or anything that was living inside of me that was toxic to be released, so that I can allow joy and happiness and peace and all of the things that God wanted to bless me with to be able to enter into my life. I couldn't have that and something negative living in the same space. I needed to clear room for the things that God was going to grace for my life, that He was going to allow to be a part of my life, the people that He allowed to walk into my life. I couldn't, a lot of the people that I've met and a lot of people that I've helped, I would have never been able to help them if I did not repent, if I did not allow God to step in. on my behalf, if I did not allow God to see me fully from the mistakes that I've made to the person that I'm becoming, if I didn't turn to God, there is no way I could help anybody else. It's no way at all, because I would have been too worried about what everyone else was thinking or what everyone else was doing. But the moment I lay it before God and let him know, like, hey, I really am sorry for this. Forgive me for this. Forgive me for the things that I've done in the past that I didn't know was something that would end up affecting people in this way. I'm sorry for, the conclusions that I jumped to, or the prejudgment that I made, or whatever else it is that I've done in the past that wasn't a good thing. But at the time, I was just living like the world. This is what people did. This is what everybody else was doing. And it never felt comfortable to me. It always made me feel like an outer body experience. It felt wrong the whole time. And I just felt like, okay, well, obviously you're supposed to live a miserable life. You're supposed to do this type of thing. You're supposed to be with this type of person. You're supposed to be working at this type of place. I never thought that I could work somewhere where I actually enjoy the work that I do, where I could actually have a positive attitude. No matter what's going on around me, God will take care of the rest as long as I'm being a good steward and I'm working diligently. I never thought that I could have good people in my life who are decent friends, and I could set standards and boundaries, and they can respect those boundaries, and I don't have to just say yes to everything. I never thought that I could meet a person who was actually a nice human being, and really not just expect them to be evil. And I'm not saying that, any person is ever going to be perfect, or that this person is not an evil person or anything like that. I'm just saying, instead of me just mainly focusing on this person just being a horrible person who's going to be bad and toxic and negative and who's going to break my heart, I can actually see, like, hey, this is actually a nice person until they prove me otherwise, you know, which is a big, huge step for me, because I never intended for any, and this is going to sound so cynical, and I don't think like this anymore, but I used to think that all guys were just, and please, guys, don't take offense to this, because I don't think like this anymore, but I honestly thought that men had no feelings at all, that it was just, it was a dog eat dog world. It was really just like, there was no guy who was ever going to be a nice person. There was no guy who was ever going to like really treat you the right way, because, they kind of get what they can get, and then that's it. Or they just, it's all for one and one for me, not for not being compassionate or caring about anybody else's feelings. And there might be a lot of men that are like that, but there are also some decent human beings out there. And so, I'm really sorry for just putting a blanket statement on all men and really feeling like that was just how it was going to be, because I didn't have God in my life. I really felt like, it's just nothing good. Everything is bad. Like, evil is the only thing that exists. Is how my mind worked before I found God, before I rededicated my life to God. I really felt like there wasn't a such thing as something good happening in my life, you know? And I know that sounds weird to think like that, but I felt like it was kind of like a protection thing. Like I was protecting myself from anything bad happening, because when bad things would happen, I would just be like, I didn't expect anything better. I really didn't. So you just showed me that, okay, you're evil, you're bad, you're manipulative. Okay. And what else? The thing that really surprised me when I rededicated my life to God is that not everybody is like that. Some people really are good people, and it surprises you, but you can't meet those type of people, you can't be around those type of people until you change. Because why would someone who's a decent person ever want to be anywhere near someone who's toxic, negative, controlling, jealous, envious, insecure, whatever it is? Whatever the Why every time I talk does that happen? I'll be leaning forward and then I'm like, okay. I know people are like, can she speak? Listen, you know how Moses had a stutter. I feel like, let me stop. But no, it just happens. I don't know. Like, I'll just be talking, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, I still can taste the flavor, so I guess I'm still blessed. But yeah, but really, just stay focused on God. Really, you have to change first before God can bless you with other things. God is never going to give you one of his children. Like, you're saying, oh, I want a wife, but you haven't even got it together for yourself yet. I'm not saying that you're going to be perfect, but if you always have havoc and you are always feeling the burden of the entire world on your shoulders because you're not seeking help, because you feel like you got to do this all alone when God never intended for you to do anything alone. Even me, I'm the type of person who likes to do everything on my own, and I really don't like to ask for help. But God is showing me that I'm going to have to ask for help in some things. I'm going to have to reach out to certain people. Certain people are going to come into my life that are going to allow me or allow God to open doors for me. I have to be willing to have a relationship with certain people in my life, make friendships or make friends with certain people, have connections in a business world, whatever else it is that I'm doing. I have to be able to be vulnerable enough to allow those people to see a part of me so that they know that they can trust me in certain areas when it comes to business, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to everything. And God can't give me someone if I'm guarded, if I'm blocked off, if I'm feeling like I'm gonna be the only person that makes these things happen. I don't know people in certain industries. I don't know people in certain places. So I'm not gonna be able to make that connection for myself. It's someone else who would have to do that. And I have to be willing to be kind. I have to be willing to be Christ-like. I have to be willing to be looking at it with a positive onset. I can't look at it like, oh, every person's going to be like this. I have to look at it like I trust God, and whoever God intends to be a part of my life is going to be there. And God, anybody else, anybody who is not supposed to be a part of my life, who you do not intend to be in my life at all, who means me no good, or who would distract me, or who will become an idol of mine, remove them from my life, because sometimes I'm too weak to remove them for myself. That's what I have to constantly do because I know I'm not perfect. And even though I talk on here and I talk about setting healthy standards and boundaries, and it's so important to do that, I am not always strong enough to remove certain people from my life. Sometimes I want things so badly, and God's like, this is not good for you right now. You have more work to do. You cannot allow this person into your life because it is going to distract you from your purpose. This person is not ready yet. You are not ready yet. You cannot have this thing until you are ready. I'm never going to give you something prematurely. I'm never going to give you something before it's time, because me giving you something prematurely is just as bad as you getting the wrong thing. It will mean you no good. It won't. And I'm saying this, and I really hope somebody hears me when I say this. I really hope that it's blessing your life, that you are really feeling the words that I'm saying, that you can really take this and use this in your life, that it really is speaking life into you, that it's serving in some sort of purpose, because I want you to understand that it is great to have standards and boundaries, and always call on God when you need Him. Like, don't just feel like you got to handle it on your own, because sometimes it really does suck. For me, I have this thing, I just don't like to ask people for help. I really would rather be like 12 jobs deep, like with no sleep before I ask for help. But I really do have to ask people. Like when people are asking me how I'm doing, when my family members or friends or people that really care about me really do want to help, or they want to see me succeed, they're not asking because they just want to say a word. They're saying it because they really can see that I have like a lot of, you know, whatever things on my shoulders, and I'm carrying a lot, and they want to help. And I honestly learned during this time, like with the single life and everything else, and after I rededicated my life to God, that when people ask you for help, or they give you help, receive it. Sometimes, I mean, back in the day, I used to feel like, well, I don't want to feel like I'm using people. I don't want to feel like, you know, that I have to ask them for something and they feel like I'm always constantly needing something from them. Like, I want them to know that I can handle it on my own, and I can handle it on my own 80% of the time. But there's 10% that I need my family. There's 10% that I need my family and friends, and there's 10% that God sends other people in my life who I actually need. I need for whatever reason it is, to help me serve my purpose, to help me walk in my purpose, and or for me to be able to do whatever it is that I need to do. And God is sending those people to bless me. It's like me saying, "Oh no, God, don't bless me because I got to handle this on my own because I'm God. I would never be God." So anytime God is sending me help, I'm receiving it. And sometimes, I do get in moments where I feel like my old self, and I'm kind of like, no, I don't want to, Someone will say, oh, here, let me pay for lunch for you. And I'm just like, oh, no, and God is like, I'm trying to bless you. This is not a blessing so that you could just receive stuff and be like real selfish and then never give anything else or serve anybody else. This is so that you can be blessed. And when I bless you, you can bless somebody else. So if someone's paying for my lunch today, maybe next week I pay for somebody else's lunch. You know, if someone is, putting gas in my car, or they're paying, how people like will pay and say pay it forward, then you help somebody else. If God is saying, okay, well, I just gave you $1,000, instead of you spending $1,000 just splurging, balling out of control, doing the most, maybe it's for you to help somebody because you weren't even supposed to have that $1,000 and you don't own anything. Everything belongs to God. Whenever I get in my moments where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to give this away, or God is like, give this to somebody, the thing that really makes it super duper easy for me to just be like, here you go. I mean, no matter what the amount is, as long as God is in it and God is saying, give this, and Satan would never tell you to give somebody something because he never wants you to feel that type of joy. He never wants you to be able to be trusted by God so that God can give you more things. He wants you to live a life of lack because that's who he is. He always wants you to think that you're not good enough. He always wants you to make you feel like nobody could ever be any better. He always wants you to make you feel like you can't have a godly kingdom relationship. He always wants to make you feel like you don't deserve to be at a job or in a position. But I'm gonna tell you one thing: if God is blessing me with it, and God is discerning me and discerning the person and the spirit, and He's telling me to go for it, or this is something that I should be having in my life, then you better believe I'm taking all of it. I want everything that God's trying to give me. I want the job. I want the house. I want the car. I want the person. I want the family, the friends, every single thing. My spirit and my soul just having peace and joy. I mean, everything that God has given me, I want. And I don't care what Satan tries to tell me about how I'm not good enough or how I will never be with someone who's actually a decent human being, how I will always end up picking the wrong person, how I will always not be strong enough to stand up or have healthy standards and boundaries, or I will always allow someone to do blah, or whatever else it is that he tries to play on my old insecurities for, to try to make me feel like I don't deserve the things that God is trying to bless me with. I'm negating all of that. All of that is desolate. That doesn't exist to me because the only thing that matters is what God wants for me and what He's blessing me with and what He wants me to have in my life. I know I said that twice, but still, that's the only thing that matters is what God wants. That's it. If God is saying, hey, here's a nice person who you can help, who I feel like you would be good in a relationship with, and it would help the kingdom, then I'm like, okay, God, this is what I'm doing. If God is saying, bless somebody with $100 because I gave you an extra $100 and it doesn't belong to you because it's God's money anyways, then I'm like, okay. And usually when I give away something that God tells me to give away, usually I'm so blessed. Usually when I walk away from a situation I'm not supposed to be in and I trust God and God tells me, to wait or whatever else it is, I'm usually more blessed. Usually when God is telling me don't take this job, it's like, thank you, God, I didn't take that job. The company ended up closing the next couple months or something, or I mean, it's just so many things have happened in the past, and it's just like, thank you, God. Because if I would have stayed there, I don't know what I would have been doing at this time. And if I went for the other job, I don't know how badly they would have treated me. So we always feel like we know better than what God does because it doesn't make sense to us in the moment. But when we're being obedient to God and we're serving in our purpose, God can make so many things happen. I mean, the impossible happens. Things come out of nowhere. And I know now, if God tells me to wait, for sure I'm waiting. If He tells me, hey, you need a couple months or wait a couple months, I'm not going to say why. It doesn't make any sense. I should be able to do this because blah. And I've been so obedient and it feels like this is the thing. And everything feels like it's lining up. If God says no, no means no. Or wait, wait means wait. Because the things that happen in the waiting season on the journey is way more important than being at the finish line or being at the starting line with something else. Because you don't know what God's going to do in somebody else's life or in your life that will help that person or help you. in the best way. And before God sends me, the into the position that I'm supposed to be in life, like maybe my business blows up and I just end up being self-employed for whatever reason, and I end up doing that, and that's where God intends for me to be, then I want to be ready. I want to be a good boss. I want to be the type of boss who allows people to be able to feel like they can come and talk to me. I want people to feel comfortable, discussing like the things that they like and don't like about the company. I want, if people feel like they have something going on, I don't want them to feel like they have to sneak to do it because they're too afraid to talk to me about, having to take care of their child on Tuesdays and Wednesdays or whatever day it is. I want the person to feel like they can confide in me and they can really talk to me about what's going on within the business so that they feel comfortable and they feel seen and heard and they know that this is a good company to work for. I don't want them to feel like they just have to be so on edge every day or feel like they're going to be scrutinized for anything. I want them to have constructive criticism, but to also feel confident in their job and knowing that I believe in them, Like I want when God sends the person, I want the person to be treated well with decency and respect. And am I saying that person is going to be walking all over me like a doormat and I'm going to be their slave? Absolutely not. I don't ever want to be in Jesus' name. I pray that I don't ever get into a position where I feel so desperate, so so. I don't want to say certain words because I don't want people to feel a certain type of way when I say this, but I don't want to ever be in a position where I just feel like I don't trust God enough to give me the things that I actually need. That I feel like I'm going to be missing out on something when the person would be missing out on me. I don't want to ever be, and we could be missing out on each other. I don't mean that, and I'm trying to downplay the other person. I'm just saying in general. And for me to like keep a stance and honor myself and respect myself and honor and respect God, because anytime I settle for anything less than what God has for me, that's me being disrespectful to God. If I'm settling for this person who's breadcrumbing me, who doesn't have any intentionality in their life, who doesn't seek to, really get to know me or be intentional about what it is that they want from me, then that's me saying to God, oh God, no, let me go ahead and just settle for this, the bare minimum, or settle for something that's way less than anything that you have for me. Am I saying the person's going to be perfect? Absolutely not. I also want to make sure I'm compassionate and understanding. I don't want to just be a doormat. I want to be compassionate and understanding. I want to make sure that I'm not just jumping to conclusions and trying to expect this person is going to be somebody who somebody else used to be. I need to know them for who they are, not for somebody in my past. I need to really make sure that I'm understanding why they are making this decision and not just saying, well, they're making this decision because they don't like me. You know, a lot of people say you can tell by people's actions whether they like you or not. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's the truth. I don't know nothing about that. Anything about that. I just know that I know God. And I'm hoping and praying that God just shows me what it is that I need to know so that I can make the best decision while still honoring Him and myself. That's it. I mean, I'm not always going to make the best decisions. I'm not always going to get out when I'm supposed to. Maybe I will now because I have a little more discernment. I don't know, but hopefully I release things when I'm supposed to and wait when I'm supposed to. And I just be completely obedient to God and knowing that I can trust Him and that He's going to not steer me wrong. He's going to take me exactly where He intended for me to go. And whatever job, person, place, thing, whatever it is that God gives me, I'll know that it will glorify the kingdom. And that's the only thing that I want. I don't want anything that's going to make me feel badly about myself, to make me feel like I'm not good enough. I don't want any person to be just draining me because they need so much that they don't feel like they're ever going to pour into me. I don't need any person who's not reciprocal. So any person who feels like they just deserve everything and I deserve nothing. I really need what God wants for me to have in my life. That's it. I don't know, like, cause I don't make a list because what's the point? If I make a list, the person's never gonna be any of those things on the list. No person is ever gonna be perfect. So I might say I want a person who's 5'9", that is, uh, I almost said muscular, but that's not my thing anyways. But I can't discriminate against people with muscles just because that's not my thing. And I'm not saying I have a problem with people having like a little bit of muscle and, they take care of their body. I mean, like, muscle on muscle on muscle. I just never understand that. But just because that's not my thing doesn't mean there's not hundreds of thousands of other women that really like that, you know? And so, so don't, I'm not like trying to make you feel badly or anything. I think if you feel good about yourself and you like that, then that's good. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Worry about what you think about yourself, because you having that confidence is going to attract the right people anyways. So just do that. And I'm just saying, I could have on a list that it's going to be somebody that's 5'9" that has, you know, I'm not going to say that, but has, is the best dresser in the entire world. I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to think of something that random. The person I could meet could have no style sense at all, and they could be 5'8". Okay. And, like, but they treat me amazing. They honor and respect me. They treat me with common decency, the way that God intended for me to be treated. I mean, that's what more could you ask than that? Would we disagree on stuff? I probably would disagree with anybody because I didn't grow up the same way as anybody else. We have two different perceptions. The way that we see things are going to be different. We're not just clones of each other. Of course, we're going to disagree, you know? So that's just like my thing. My list is God. Like, I know in my heart, deep down, what it is that I really truly want. But I also know that whatever it is that God intends for me to have is what I actually need. So I could say consistency, but someone could be consistently inconsistent. That's obviously not good. I could say reciprocity, and they could be reciprocal in the wrong things. I don't know. I could say communication, and they could love to hear themselves talk but never listen to me. Like, it's always a downfall on everything that you have on your list. So even though those things are important to me, the most important thing is God. Whatever God sees fit. If the person treats me the way God intended for me to be treated, then I'm good. You know? The rest of the stuff is just a number on a list. It really means nothing to me at all. I don't really care about any of that other stuff. I really don't. Am I saying that I want to be not attracted to the person? Of course not. I'm not saying that. I'm only saying that to be transparent and realistic, because sometimes we feel like because you're Christian, that just means that you all of a sudden go blind, and this person that you see is just, you just all of a sudden are like, well, they treat me well, but I gotta do a couple things before I know, that I'm good with this. Like, I don't want to be in that position, and God knows my heart. So I feel like he wouldn't put me in that position. And that's just me being real. I'm not saying it to like downplay anybody or make anybody feel bad. And I don't have like okay, I do have a thing that I really like, but I don't know if God will give me that thing. It might be something else, and I'll be okay with that. And I don't want to say what it is, but I will give an example. Let's say it was someone with brown hair. I don't know why brown hair was the first thing that popped in my head, but okay, the person might not have brown hair. They might have blonde hair or black hair or whatever color it is, It might be, my thing might be, oh, I like guys with amazing eyes or with like really beautiful eyes. That could be like my thing that draws me in. And God could send me the person who has like a normal set of eyes, but who is a really kind-hearted person. I'll be like, okay, I just won't get the eye thing, But anyways, in conclusion, when it comes to your confidence, fake it till you make it. And when I say that, I don't mean it in the cliche way. I mean it in the speak life into yourself, speak positivity into yourself until you believe it. Because with you being consistent and you constantly, repetition and consistency will allow you to be able to learn whatever set of skills it is that you need to be able to succeed in your job, life in general, because it will allow you to be more confident in what it is that you're doing. So fake it till you make it. Be consistent when it comes to anything that you're learning, that you're trying to do. I was at work one day and somebody said that, and I was just like, that's a weird thing to say. And then I thought about it, and it really made me think about repetition really does breed success. And it really does make you become a better person, a more knowledgeable person, a person who knows more about all of the things that you're intending to learn. And even when it comes to like my class that I took that was dance. It was like a ballroom fitness class, and I would just be like, oh, it just seems like I couldn't get like a few steps, and the next thing you know, repetition and consistency, and I just learned how to do whatever the style dance it is, and it's just like, wow, I didn't even think that would be something I can learn, but you could learn anything. You could teach yourself anything. And some people will have like these little extenuating circumstances or scenarios that they come up with, and it's just like, okay, come on, you know what I mean. So, and then today I was doing this class. That's why my hair is like this. I washed it and I put it in these like little twists. It's still a little damp, so I'm gonna probably blow dry it. I want to do some quick braids, but we'll see. I don't know if I got the braiding hair and all that other stuff. I don't know, but if I have it, I'm gonna do it. If not, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my hair. It might be out tomorrow. Who knows? I never know. Sometimes, I mean, I try to think of a plan of how I'm gonna wear my hair so that I can keep it in that style for the week or whatever, but it does what it does. It really does. And it's so funny because I was like plaiting my hair and I was like, oh, it seems like my hair is growing because I did these big chunky twists and it was right here now. And then it starts drying and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot when my hair dries, it looks real short. But yeah, definitely be consistent. So I was doing my class today. See how sidetracked I get? But I was doing my class today, and yes, my nails are all red with like little hearts on them because, first love yourself is my business. Love, I just got love all around me because God is love. And my nail had chipped because I was doing something and I went like this to like screw something, and I'm like, really, why did I do that? So I was just like, okay, take off the one that was chipped, and then just redo them all over it because it's just a regular color. It'll be good. It's fine, whatever. So that's what I went with. But I'm in my class today, and I'm doing like some kind of technique that this lady's teaching me, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I the things that I've learned in the past 3 weeks, oh my gosh, I never would have believed that I could do something like that. And it's funny because I said, God never intended me for me to be afraid. So if there's a skill, if there's something that I want to learn how to do, now is the time. Because I had this thought when I was like getting ready to wash my hair after I got out of the class, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, if I was in a relationship right now, I might not even be in this class. And I know it sounds weird and strange and, whatever to say that, especially since I'm so confident as a single person and everything else. But when I get in relationships, sometimes I get a little distracted. And so I try to like make sure that God like really keeps me focused and that when the time is right, that I can be in a position where I don't get distracted by the relationship. Like, will I spend time with a person? Yes, but I want to make sure that I stay focused on growing myself. I don't want to ever stop, trying to become a better person just because I meet somebody. I want to make sure that I'm intentional about my life and I'm staying focused on God regardless of who enters my life. And so I was just thinking, like, I might not even be in this class if I was with somebody right now. I wouldn't have never learned this skill if I was with somebody. And I know some people are probably like, you probably still would have learned it. You probably would have done it. But would I be taking this class on a Saturday night or would it be like a date night or something? You know? Like stuff like that is like what makes me hesitant about being in a relationship sometimes because I'm just like, would I still be doing all of these like cool, exciting things that I really love to do? Or would that person like take the space of me like learning those new skills and doing extra things or staying late at work or, the things that I do because I might want to get home because I can't wait to talk to this person or something or, you know, whatever else. And it's just like, hopefully I can stay focused. Like, I'm just praying, like, God, please just allow me to just still be myself and to still be all of the things that you intend for me to be in life. I don't want to ever meet somebody and they take that shine from me. They take that confidence away from me. And I forget that I'm yours. I forget who I am and whose I am because of somebody else. I always want to remember who I am. I never want to get so lost in a relationship or being a parent or, whatever else it is in life that I forget who I am. I always want to be able to like do my me dates. I always want to take on a new skill that I get to learn, like whether it's like cooking something because I don't cook. I say that and people are like, but you cook dinner sometimes. Listen, I have a specific set of skills and I stick with it. Like if something works, why change it, right? So I do like that kind of stuff. But I'm not like I have people in my family that can really throw down and I'm not that person. Like I just have a specific set of skills. And so I stay in my lane. I'm not I'm not trying to end up making my daughter sick or something. But no, so like if I want to take a cooking class because I want to learn like how to make sushi or some kind of weird thing that I don't cook on a regular, like I want to be able to do that. I don't want this relationship thing to hinder me from being able to grow as an individual or being able to do the things that I want to do that are exciting and fun. Like I'm going on a trip this year, God willing, and it'll be a single trip and I'm like I mean, I don't mean it like see, I'm only dancing and I seem a little happy about it because I have went on one trip before that was solo. And well, two trips before that was solo. One was like a mini like kind of like a driving thing where we ended up traveling somewhere driving and then we went and stayed at this place and we had like a whole weekend thing. But I was in a relationship at that time even though I went solo. And then the first time that I went somewhere while I was single by myself was last year. And it was okay. Like I really didn't I was utilizing the fact that I was single and I was like kind of taking advantage of it in a way, but not really. This is like my intentional single trip. Like I'm trying to be single when I go there kind of thing, but not in like the society kind of way. In the like mentally, I want to be in a space where I'm just like focused on myself. I want to be in a space where I'm doing like yoga or I'm in the exercise place doing exercises on the beach, exercise and whatever else. I want to make sure that I'm like really taking in the whole scene, that I'm really acknowledging the fact that I get to spend that time alone with God or I get to spend that time by myself and really just enjoy who I am at this moment. I really want to look at the clouds and the sun and I really want to sit in the water and I want to do all of the things that I get to do by myself. And after that trip, I'm not saying after that trip, God, go ahead and bless me with somebody. I'm not trying to tell God when the time is. I'm just saying that, like, this one trip is like the thing that I want to do by myself. I don't want to do it with somebody else. I could invite someone to come, but I want this to be a me thing. I want this to be something that I get to do by myself, that I get to enjoy being single in this moment because I don't know when my time is up. Why do I always say it like it's a horror movie? Like, look, it's gonna be a blessing when I'm with somebody. I have to really think about it that way and not like it's just gonna be this thing where I'm just like a robot, somebody's concubine or something. Like this will actually be a thing that's kingdom. And so the person will actually treat me like a human being and not like a slave, hopefully. I mean, in Jesus' name, I know they're not going to because I'm asking God to remove them and me from the whole situation, like break the whole situation up, do whatever you got to do to end that. But, but yeah, this will be the thing that I intentionally get to do by myself, and I get to enjoy it and take it in. I get to do all of the things that I want to do without having to worry about anybody else. I don't have somebody. I'm not saying this like it's a bad thing. I think it's great that you respect somebody and that you check in with somebody, and things like that because you respect them and because you miss them or you care about them or whatever else. I think that is amazing. For me on this trip, I'm going to be not worrying about calling anybody. Some of the people will be there doing their own thing. I'm going to be doing in my own little world. I'm going to be taking in the entire scene. I'm going to be spending that time with God. Like, I'm going to be praying first thing in the morning. I'm going to be on my knees in prayer every morning, thanking God that He woke me up. that he allowed me to get there safely and pray that he gets me back home safely. I'm going to literally be just taking in every single moment and allowing God to use me in whatever places he wants to use me while I'm there. Like, I know people say, oh, you're on vacation, you're not working. Like, look, I'm gonna be working. I enjoy my business, the things that I get to do to help other people. It really does fill my spirit. So it's not like work for me. I know, like, if God says rest while I'm there, of course I'm gonna rest. I'm gonna do the whole sabbatical thing. I know that's not what you call it in for like a regular person that's not a preacher or whatever else. But listen, I'm just calling it that so people can understand that it's more like a rest, like not a rest from God, but it's a rest from, just hitting the ground running constantly, being about that life. I would actually get a moment to just be like, okay, clearing my head so that God can allow me to have the proper rest so that he can download the new thoughts, the new ideas, the new steps that he wants me to take so he can guide my steps in the right direction because my mind will be clear, won't be clouded with the ways of the world and with all the other things surrounding me, the other distractions. It'll allow me to just stay focused so I can do the things that I need to do. So when I get to that trip and when I get back, I feel like that'll be a moment where it's like, okay, I did the Valentine's Day thing, the single Day thing, and I had a moment. I did have a moment. I'm not gonna pretend like I did good. Like last year, I was single, but not single single. So like I was single, but it's a whole like I feel like I don't really have to explain it. So it's not like I'm just gonna describe it. I was single, but not single single. Like that's what this one guy that I met last year said, and I was like, I don't know if you should say something like that. I don't know. Like if you are with someone, I don't think that's like I don't know if you should say. Anyways, that's besides the point. But anyways, so last year I was single but not single single. And so I kind of did my own thing, but I still got something for Valentine's Day, and it's not about the gifts or anything like that, but it was just like, okay. And I didn't want to be with anybody. I was just kind of doing my own thing, like just being single anyways, but there was somebody there. So it wasn't just like oh, I'm single, single, this is all me kind of thing. And then this year, it was like I was for real single. And so I was just kind of like, the whole day was good. Like I was fine all day long. And then that night I had said or did something, and I was just like, oh, I can't believe I said something like that. And I just felt like so guilt ridden. And then out of nowhere, this thought popped into my head about the person would have cooked me some food. And I was like, dang, I gotta find another way to eat today. I don't mean like I gotta find it. Like I probably would have paid for the food anyways or something else. Like it wasn't just like I was gonna be wined and dined and I'm just that type of person. Or like I would not accept something like that. I'm just saying that I was just really thinking like, dang, I gotta figure out this food thing today because usually I'm like on it and I have like stuff strategically planned. And today, on Valentine's Day, I didn't have a plan. I kind of had like baking cookies and I baked cookies and I did something else. And I did like part of my class that day or something. I did something like that. So I did do Valentine's Day cookies, heart shaped, and then the ones with the little squiggly lines and the arrows and um, the lips is what it was. And they turned out really good. And I had fun, baking them and rolling them out and making them and all that other stuff. And I did get myself my gift. So I still haven't opened it. Oh my gosh, really? I had my gift, I placed it on the thing. Then I met some family members and they gave me some Valentine's Day gifts. So I got this little package of cookies with the Valentine's Day thing and a little heart thing. And I got um, a bottle. And what else did I get? Oh, I got some perfume and perfume, lotion. It was like a set and something else. But in the candle, I got this like tranquility candle from like the spa that one of my family members goes to. So they gave me that. And so so I did have like a good Valentine's Day and everything was good. In that moment, like when I was thinking about food and I didn't like plan my meal and stuff, I was like, oh man, person would have made the food. Like they would have like made dinner. And I mean, this person could really cook. So it wasn't just like, oh, this person just put something in the oven and then took it out. Like they really can cook. And so I was just like, dang, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna eat today. Like I didn't have any type of food strategy at all. I was like, I gotta come up with something. But you know what? My one of my family members had like some stuff, and so I like finagled the whole thing and made some spaghetti. So it turned out really good. But I was really hard on myself, like, oh, that's not gonna be that good. But it was good, and so I was like, thank you, Jesus. But yeah, and so I just had a moment when I thought about the food thing, and I was just like, and then I was like, you know what? I mean, I really like, and when I say I had a moment, it wasn't a moment like I was like, oh, I really miss this person. I was just like, dang, I gotta cook this food. And then I know that sounds so selfish, and I'm sorry that I sound selfish in that moment, but I really thought that. And then I was thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know, emotionally, it just like hit me, like, oh my God. And then afterwards, I got up and I was like, okay, all right. I don't know. I guess, I mean, I hadn't cried in like like a month, so I think I was due for like a good cry session. So it happened. And I felt a lot better afterwards. Like, I mean, I was crying hard too. I was like I was really crying. And it was a good, like, it felt like it was a good hour. But then I looked at the clock and it was like 5 minutes. So it was like a good 5 minute cry session. And I cried super duper hard. And then I felt better. And it wasn't me crying about the relationship. I was just crying like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I couldn't make this food. Like this food is really gonna suck. And I was really hard on myself. And then the adversary was throwing all these negative thoughts into my head. And it was making me feel really badly about it. And the food ended up being good anyway. So I really cried for no reason. But I was just like, oh my gosh, I did all of this and I didn't think about the food. And I just, I don't know why I was feeling like that, but I got over it very quickly. And so, yeah, I said that whole story just because I just want to let other people know who are single, who are having a hard time on Valentine's Day and stuff like that, that it's okay. It's okay to have a moment to cry. It's okay to not feel completely great. Whatever else, like people expect you to just be like a robot and just walk around like I am okay. Like, no, you're going to emote because you're a human being. Men and women, you are going to feel all the feels. Like it's just what it is. And that doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you want the person because I do not want that person. I just wanted that food. But I have other people that could cook really well, so I just eat that food and I'm good. And I know I sound like such a foodie, and I am a foodie. I really do eat everything for the most part. And so I just want you to know that it's okay. If you weren't feeling the best, it's okay. I even had a moment on Valentine's Day, and I'm the person who just really didn't even care. And I still had a moment. So if you had a moment, it's okay. Now that you had the moment, feel it, deal with it and move on with your life. Like, don't just sit there in that moment and let it consume you. Don't allow it to overtake you and make you feel badly about who you are or the fact that you're not performing like such and such online or you don't look like such and such. You're never going to look like anybody else but you. You just have to be the best version of you, and that's all that you can do. As long as you are growing, as long as you are trying. You remember that one time when you used to just give up and never even attempt to try? You even trying is better than who you used to be. So don't be so down on yourself, expecting your story to look like somebody else's because your story is written specifically for you. It's not somebody else's story. It's what you get to do. What you are allowing God to do in you. And so I think it's really important for us to not be beating up on ourselves. And so, in order for you to remain confident, know that you are a human being that is going to make mistakes. And I already said in conclusion, but know that you are a human being that is going to make mistakes, and it's okay. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. Just pick yourself back up. It's okay to cry when you have a weak moment. It's okay to feel all of the feelings that you feel. Just don't sit in that negativity. Just don't allow it to consume you. Don't allow it to be a foothold for the adversary to come in and manipulate your mind into making you think that you're not good enough or making you think that this is all it is. It's just a moment. It is not your entire life. I promise you that. And God has so much better for you than that one negative thought. So as long as you continue to be confident in yourself and you know that God is who he says he is, that gives you all of the confidence that you need.